Hello students, welcome to Sri Classes. We'll start with Mathematics chapter number 14, Statistics, lecture number 1. In your 9th standard, you were introduced to what is data and the different types of data. Data is a plural of datum. Once again, I'll revise this very quickly. Please note down all this information. This is important for you to understand the basics of the data. So what is data basically? It is facts and figures which are collected in the form of numerical values for a definite purpose. So there are three types of data: raw data, ungrouped data and grouped data. In grouped data, you have exclusive data and inclusive data. These are the three types. So let us discuss these three types in detail, and one should be aware of this kind of data very clearly. Now here you have a raw data. Generally the raw data, how does it look like? Here you can see this. How does it look like? Marks scored by 10 students in mathematics are given by 10, 10, 3, 5, 8, 8, 6, 7, 5, 6. So this is the information which is collected as it is without any particular arrangement, and such data is termed as raw data. The generally observations are represented by xi, x1, x2, x3 dot 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 up to xn. So the number of observations in the given data is n here, and the example is marks scored by 10 students in mathematics, which are given by like this. So this is a raw data. Now next go to the ungrouped data. Ungrouped data is also called ungrouped frequency distribution or ungrouped frequency distribution table, or also it is called discrete frequency distribution table. In ICSE syllabus, this particular data is termed as tabulated data. So it is better to understand this data directly with the example rather than defining it. See here, weights are written in terms of kgs. Okay, weights of mango boxes and their numbers is given by, that means there are different boxes of mangoes. The weights and a particular number will be given in the form of a table here. The weights are in kg, kilograms, and number of boxes, which is nothing but the frequency over here. So this table is called ungrouped frequency distribution table. The weights are the observations and generally represented by xi. So weights of this is 1 kg. This box has got 2 kgs of mangoes. This has got 5 kilograms. This has got 6 kilograms, 8 kilograms and 10 kilograms. These are the weights of different boxes. How many numbers are there? 1 kg boxes, there are 10 numbers. 2 kg boxes, there are 5 numbers. 5 kg boxes, 4 numbers. 6 kg boxes, 1 number. Like this, the frequency is nothing but here the number of boxes of a particular weight of a box. Okay, so this is called ungrouped frequency distribution table, or also this is called discrete frequency distribution table. Now next, coming back to the grouped data, there are two types here: exclusive and inclusive. What is this exclusive data? This exclusive data is also called continuous data, and in this the upper limits are excluded. See here, the representation of this data goes something like this. Here the observations, this side, these are all observations. These observations have been grouped into particular class intervals, and their frequencies have been given over here. So these are the class intervals and a particular frequency: 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60. These are different class intervals, and these are the frequencies. Here, why this is called exclusive data? The reason is, these are class intervals. In the class intervals, this side it is called a lower class limit, and this side it is called upper class limit. So all these are lower class limits of class intervals, and these are upper class limits of class intervals. It is called exclusive data because the upper limits are not excluded in this particular data. For example, if I ask you to populate a value of 20 here, in which group would you put 20? Is it in 10 to 20 or 20 to 30? The frequency I am talking about. You will definitely put that data in 20 to 30, but not in 10 to 20, because the value 20 needs to be populated between in 20 to 30, not in 10 to 20. Why? Because 20 is excluded in this kind of data, and therefore the data, the upper limits are excluded, and hence we cannot put 20 in this one, but it can be put in this class interval. So I hope you are able to understand over here. Very important thing is, it is called exclusive data because the upper limits are excluded. And why it is called continuous data? If you look at the data here, see here, 20 20, 30 30, 40 40, 50 50, there exists a continuity in the class intervals. Between the two class intervals there exists a continuity, and therefore this is called a continuous data. And of course this is a frequency. A little bit something more to know about over here. If this is a class interval 10 to 20, then the lower class limit is 10 here, this one, and the upper class limit is 20 here. What about the class size? Class size refers to the class width of the class, which is the difference of these two numbers, that is upper limit minus lower limit. 20 minus 10 gives you 10. What is a class mark? Class mark is generally represented by xi, and this xi is equal to the midpoint of the class intervals. The midpoint of the class intervals is called the class mark. How do you get this one? This plus this divided by 2, this plus this divided by 2. Of course the midpoint of this is definitely 15 here, it is 25 here, it is 35, 45, 55. So how to calculate this one? Take the average of these two numbers. That is what it is given here. Class mark is the average of the lower class limit and upper class limit. So this is how the exclusive data can be represented. But you have to remember that in statistics we always go for exclusive data. There is one more thing, data called inclusive data. The representation goes something like this. Here if you look at the class intervals 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, and 51 to 60. What is the difference between this and this data? If you look at here, there exists a continuity, therefore it is called a continuous data. But can you check over here? This is 20 here and 21 over here. Suppose if I want to put one observation with a value of 20.5, where would you be able to put in this data 20.5? Neither in this class interval nor in this class interval. Whereas can you put 20.5 over here? That's definitely possible. In this class interval we can put the 20.5, but here it is not possible because 20.5 lies between 20 and 21. So how many values are there between 20 and 21? Infinitely large number of values are there. And therefore this inclusive data, it is actually speaking useless. Statistics will not entertain any inclusive data at all. If such inclusive data are given to you, which is also called discontinuous data, you have to convert it into exclusive form. But before that, why this is called inclusive data? First of all, this is called inclusive data because the upper class limits are included. And second thing is, it is called a discontinuous data because there is no continuity between one class interval to another class interval. See here, 20, it ends here. The new class interval starts with 21 to 30. So is there a continuity over here? There is no continuity at all. Whereas checked here, there is a continuity over here. How do you convert this inclusive data into this is the exclusive data? How do you convert this one? For which we have something called adjustment factor. What is this adjustment factor over here? You take any two class intervals, lower limit of the succeeding class interval minus upper limit of the preceding class interval divided by 2. That gives you the adjustment factor. If I consider these two over here, This is the succeeding, this is the preceding. Lower class limit of succeeding minus upper class limit of preceding. 21 minus 20 divided by 2 gives me the adjustment factor, which is equal to 0.5. So how do you get this? What is to be done with this 0.5 here? With this 0.5, subtract in all lower limits this 0.5 and add it to all upper limits the adjustment factor. That means, once again I'll tell you, this adjustment factor should be subtracted from all the lower limits, and this adjustment factor should be added to all the upper limits in order to convert that into exclusive data. For example, 11 minus 0.5 is 10.5. 20 plus 0.5, 20.5. Isn't it? So, just a moment. So, I hope you understand here how to convert inclusive to exclusive data. I was explaining about the adjustment factor. Subtract from the lower limits and add the adjustment factor to the upper limits. Here 11 minus 0.5, 10.5, 20.5, 30.5, 40.5, 50.5. You can get these readings and add this 0.5 to all the upper limits: 20.5, 30.5, 40.5, 50.5, 60.5. And frequency, of course the frequency does not change, as it is, you keep it. So this is how we can convert the inclusive data to the exclusive data. Now, what is that we are going to study in this 10th standard statistics? See, for all these three types of data, we are going to study the measurements of central tendencies. What do you mean by central tendency? Central tendency is that value which is the representation of the entire data. For example, if there are 10 students whose marks are given over here like this, how do you represent this information, these observations? One way of representation of these observations is a representative value called arithmetic mean, which is also called simply mean. Mean is the average basically. So one of the representations of data is arithmetic mean or simply mean. Another two representations are there. Representations means for the entire distribution, the value which is a representative value or the representative value of a particular data is called a central tendency. There are three things here: arithmetic mean, median and mode. We are going to study arithmetic mean, median and mode for raw data, for discrete frequency distribution table and for grouped data. Of course, for grouped data, if at all we come across something like inclusive data, that is discontinuous data, please remember we must have to convert that in the form of exclusive data. See, here itself I would like to make one point clear. If you look at the formulae of arithmetic mean, that is a direct method, there are three methods for grouped data. This direct method, then shortcut method, which is also called assumed mean method, and one more is step deviation method. If you look at the formula of all this, what is involved is basically the class mark and further few columns will be there. Class mark is a result of the class intervals. How do you get the class mark? It is the midpoint of the class interval. Whether it is exclusive data or it is inclusive data, can you find the difference in class marks? There is no difference. For example, what is the class mark of this one? Class mark is the midpoint of this one. 10 plus 20 divided by 2 is 15 here. Now this is inclusive data, 11 and 20, isn't it? Now this is 11 and 20. Okay, forget about this data. Let us compare this data and this data. What is the class mark of this one? 11 plus 20 divided by 2. How much this is? Midpoint I am talking about xi equals 20 plus 1, 11, 31 divided by 2, which is 15.5. I have converted this inclusive data to exclusive data. This is exclusive data. Exclusive data. What is the midpoint of this one, class mark of this one? This class mark is x1 is equal to, I'll say 10.5 plus 20.5 divided by 2. 20 plus 1, 10, 30. 0.5 plus 0.5, 1. 31 divided by 2. Once again, 31 divided by 2, which is 15.5. So my question to all of you, while calculating, in order to calculate the arithmetic mean, do we need to really convert inclusive data to exclusive data? Of course, I agree that it is a good practice and a standard practice to always convert inclusive data to exclusive data. It is a standard practice because in statistics generally we do not deal with inclusive data at all. But in order to save the time, if at all in the examinations, if you get inclusive data and if you are supposed to calculate the arithmetic mean by means of direct method, step deviation method or assumed mean method, whatever method, you need not convert inclusive to exclusive data at all. Why it is so? Because the calculations basically involve the xi, which is a class mark. Class mark will not change for discontinuous data or continuous data, or for inclusive data and exclusive data. I demonstrated here itself. The class mark will not change for inclusive and exclusive data. It remains same, and hence we can proceed with directly applying the formula, particular formula, and work it out. But remember, when I go to median and mode, there is one parameter involved there, that is called, for a particular class interval, we are going to have a look at the lower limit of a particular class interval, say median class, etc. If the limits change over here, the lower limits or the upper limits of the particular class interval change, then the value is going to change. So in case of medians and calculations of the mode, if at all you get inclusive data, ensure that you convert it to exclusive data without fail. But to work out for mean, arithmetic mean, by whatever method, three methods which you are going to study, you need not convert inclusive data to exclusive data. You can directly work it out. But even if you convert it, it's a good practice. It's really a good practice. So with that introduction, I am going to take up now the first part. We are going to study mainly three parts. That is arithmetic mean, median, and mode. Out of these three central tendencies, first I am going to discuss arithmetic mean for raw data, for ungrouped frequency distribution table, and for grouped data, especially exclusive. If I get this, as I said, I may or I may not convert for finding out the mean. So there are three methods, especially for group data. The mean calculation is by three methods, whereas for this and for this there is only one method. So I hope you have understood the basics. With this introduction, let us go to the calculations of or the measurement of central tendency called arithmetic mean. First, make a note of all this. Now let us study the measurement of central tendencies. There are three parameters, the measurement of central tendencies: mean, median and mode. These are the representative values of particular data. Out of these three, first let us study the mean, arithmetic mean for raw data, tabulated data which is discrete frequency distribution table, and finally for a group data. So let us begin with that. Arithmetic mean we'll see. Arithmetic mean, it is represented by x bar. How do you call this one? X bar. So arithmetic mean for first one, raw data. How to calculate the arithmetic mean for raw data? Observations. The observations, n observations are represented by x1, x2, x3, and it will continue up to xn. So number of observations in this data are observations n. So arithmetic mean is given by sum of all observations divided by number of observations. Sum of all observations divided by number of observations. OBS here represents observations. So therefore this is x bar equals, sum is represented by a symbol called sigma xi divided by n. The sigma xi is nothing but x1 plus x2 plus x3 plus up to xn, the whole divided by n. So this is the formula to calculate the arithmetic mean of the raw data. Whichever one example I had given, the same example I will take it now to find out the arithmetic mean. Give me the paper. Okay, so here I had given an example of marks scored by 10 students in maths. One example I will take it. Marks scored by 10 students in maths are given by are given by 10, 10, 3, 5, 3, 5, 8, 8, 6, 8, 8, 6, 7, 5, 6. So these are the marks scored by these many people. Okay, fine. So this is a raw data. All these are x1, x2, x3. These are the observations, and the arithmetic mean is given by x bar is equal to sigma xi divided by n. Here let me write the number of observations. Here number of observations equals n equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Of course 10 students it is given. So mean is given by x bar is equal to sigma xi divided by n. The meaning of sigma xi is, sometimes we write something like this: xi, I starts from 1 to n. In this case 1 to 10. Is it right? So this representation xi where I equals 1 to 10 because there are 10 students here. So the meaning of sigma xi is this one. Sigma is a summation and I varies from 1 to 10, means x1 plus x2 plus x3 plus x4, something like this. So This is equal to sum of observations 10 plus 10 plus 3 plus 5 plus 8 plus 8 plus 6 plus 7 plus 5 plus 6, the whole divided by total number of observations n, which is 10. So where is the duster? And this is given by, therefore x bar is given by 20, 23, 28, 36, 44, 50, 57, 57, 62, 68. 68 divided by 10, which is equal to 6.8. So this is how you can calculate the average arithmetic mean of the raw data. So make a note of this one. Next, let us study the mean for the second type of data, that is ungrouped frequency distribution, or it is also called discrete frequency distribution. So mean for ungrouped frequency distribution table. It is also called discrete frequency distribution, or simply you can say mean for ungrouped data. So already we know how to represent these data. Observations generally represented by xi, and the frequency of the observations is represented by fi. So this will be x1, x2, x3, x4 dot 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 up to xn will be there. Similarly, x1 repeats for f1 times, this repeats for f2 times, this repeats for f3 times. This is the general representation of the data here, f4 up to fn. Now if this is the data given, then we need to have one more column over here, which is called fi into xi, fi into xi, or it is also called fx. So this will be this is the product here, and this will be f1 x1, f2 x2, f3 x3. It will continue up to fn xn. Apart from this, we require two important information. This is called n, which is sigma fi. The sum of all the frequencies is called n, capital N, it is represented by, or also it is called sigma fi, summation of all the frequencies, summation of fi frequencies, and also the sum of this product. Basically fi xi is nothing but the frequency and observation product. It is xi is the observation, fi is the frequency, and the product here. So here also I require sigma fi xi is equal to this value also is required. Sum of all these observations are nothing but sigma fi xi, and therefore in this case the mean is given by, arithmetic mean is given by, mean x bar is given by, arithmetic mean x bar is given by sigma fi xi, the whole divided by sigma fi. Of course, sometimes we represent this sigma fi as n also, so you must remember that also. X bar is equal to sigma fi xi divided by n. So this is how we represent the formula. So we will take one example here and solve it. So here, for your information, what is this meaning of fi xi here is, see here, this sigma fi xi means I should be 1 to n. That is the meaning of sigma fi xi. If there are 10 observations, then it can be I is equal to 1 to 10 also here. But anyway, generally we do not consider this I is equal to 1 to n or something like that. Simply we represent it as the summation of the product divided by summation of the frequencies. Sometimes they simply represent something like this: x bar is equal to sigma fx divided by sigma f. This is also acceptable. I need not use the subscript I, which is for iteration, that is the particular number. This also is acceptable, very well acceptable. So let me take one example to solve this one. So this is how we can calculate for ungrouped frequency distribution table, the arithmetic mean. Of course, you can create a table here. This is important. So let us create the table over here, something like this. Okay. Yeah. Always try to represent the tabulated data in the form of a good tables. Use always scales for producing such tables. It gives a very good look. You must have seen the topper's paper also. He has used the scales there. So let me take one example over here. Same weights of mango boxes and their numbers. I'll consider the same example and let us calculate the arithmetic mean of the tabulated data. Here it is. This is weights of boxes, weight in kg, and this is xi, this is frequency, number of boxes. Here number of boxes I'll write, number of boxes fi, and here it is fi into xi. The three columns I require. This has to be created. Generally these two columns will be given to you. So weight is 1, 2, 1, 2, 5, 6, 1, 2, 5, 6, 8, 10. 8, 10. These are the weights in kilograms. And 1 kg box, 10 numbers. 2 kg box, 5 numbers. 4, 1, 3, 2. 4, 1, 3, 2. Yes. So how to calculate this one? See, generally given is only these two tables. This data, this column and this column. These two columns will be given to you. You need to find out the fi xi and then take out the sigma fi and sigma fi xi. So let us create this table. Okay. So fi xi 10 into 1, 10, 5 into 2, 10, 4 into 5 equals 21. Frequency 1 into 6 equals 6, and 3 into 8, 18, and 2 into 10, 20. 24 it is. Okay, correct. So 10, 20, 10, 10, 20, 6, 8 3s are 24, 10 2s are 20. What else we require here? I require two information, sigma fi. So sigma fi is equal to 10, 25 boxes are there, and also I require this column. This is sigma fi xi is equal to, check this, 20 plus 20, 40, 40, 46, 56, 66, 70, 80, 90. Check. 30, 40, 46, 56, 70, 20, 90. It is correct. So finally the arithmetic mean of this weights is given by mean weight. Basically x bar is equal to sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi, which is equal to sigma fi xi is 90 divided by 25, which is 5 5 za, 5 1 za, 4 5 8 za, which is 18 by 5 and therefore x bar equals 3.15 so this is what we get 3.6. I hope it is correct. 3.6. Yeah. So what do you mean by this 3.6 is the arithmetic mean? This is the, dear student, this is the arithmetic mean of the observations here. इसका मतलब ये है the mean weight of all these boxes, the mean weight of all these boxes based on the number of boxes, it is 3.6 kilograms is the mean weight of this. See how different it is. अगर इसका एवरेज लिया तो is it 3.6? Definitely not. Somewhere it lies in the higher side. But this data, while calculating the arithmetic mean for such data, we also need to consider the number of boxes, the frequencies also. So this is how we can calculate the arithmetic mean for ungrouped frequency distribution table. Hope you understand. Make a note of this. Now we will see the arithmetic mean for grouped data. There are three methods: direct method, assumed mean method, which is also called a shortcut method, and step deviation method. Let us discuss the first method, direct method, for a group data. So the group data will be given something like this to you, and there are three steps which we need to follow. Generally 1 and 2, these two columns will be given to you. You have to prepare the third column and the fourth column, and therefore it is always preferable to write the steps also in order to understand this. So what is the first step? Find the class mark. Class mark is found by xi is equal to LCL plus UCL divided by 2, which is nothing but the midpoint. Say for example here I have a data 0 to 10. क्या है इसका midpoint? Class mark here it is nothing but 5. What about this one? 15. This one 25. This one 35. So आप लोगों को ये create करना पड़ेगा. You have to find out the class mark. After finding the class mark, second step, calculate Fi xi. Product of this frequency into this class mark. You are going to obtain Fi xi individually for individual classes. Step 3, use the formula. Arithmetic mean is given by x bar is equal to sigma Fi xi divided by sigma Fi. Sigma Fi xi is the summation of all this fourth column, which is called sigma Fi xi, and sigma Fi is the sum of the frequencies. So first step, find the class mark, which is the midpoint of the class interval. Second step, calculate Fi xi and use the formula x bar equals sigma Fi xi divided by sigma Fi. So note down this chart also along with these two steps and formula as it is I have given. So in the same things you need to note down. Now let me take one example. One example can be the textbook example. Just a moment. I'll take the textbook example. Give me the book here. In the textbook, exercise number 14.1, exercise number 14.1, directly I'll solve one problem from that. A survey was conducted by a group of students as a part of their environmental awareness program, in which they collected the following data regarding number of plants in 20 houses in a locality. That means they surveyed 20 houses and they calculated the number of plants in those individual houses, and the data obtained is in the form of number of plants and number of houses. So number of plants, number of plants, and this is nothing but the class interval 0 to 2. It goes up to 12 to 14, 0 to 2, 2 to 4, class width is 2 here, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, is it right? And 12 to 14, 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 14. These are number of plants, class intervals. And the number of houses is the frequency. number of houses xi, sorry, not xi, fi is the frequency. 0 to 10 only one house, 2 to 4 two houses, 1 5 6 2 3, 1 5 6 2 and 3. This is how the number of houses is given. These are the two data, two columns which have been given, and find the mean number of plants per house. Question is, find, this is exercise 14.1, first question. How to find out now? Let us set up the steps here. Find the class mark. Another two columns are required, class mark and fi xi. So class mark, which is represented by xi, and one more column fi into xi. Class mark is the midpoint of that class interval. 0 to 2 divided by 1, 0 plus 2 divided by 1, which is 2 by 1, which is 1 here. 2 plus 4 divided by 2, 3. 4 and 6, midpoint is 5. 6 and 8, midpoint is 7. 8 and 10, midpoint is 9. For 10 and 12, midpoint is 11. And for 12, 14, the midpoint is 13. Is it right? Now what is that I want? Sigma fi xi. Not sigma, fi xi I have to find out. So 1 into 1. 1 into 1 equals 1. 3 into 2 equals 6. 5 into 1 is 5. 7 into 5, which is 35. And 9 into 6, 54. And 11 into 2, which is 22. And 13 into 3, 13 into 3, which is 39. I require summation of sigma fi I want here. So this is one data, sigma fi. Sigma fi is equal to, already in the, they have given 20 houses are there. So the students have surveyed for 20 houses. Check once again. 2 plus 1, 3, 4, 9, 14, 14. No, is it correct? 2 3 4 5 5 4 9 5 4 9 9 10 15 20. It is correct. 20 houses are there. And finally I require this one, sigma fi xi is equal to, so 6 11 12 35 10 45 47, or we'll add something like this, 6 1 7 12 12 17 18 19 20 3. So 3 here, 3 3 6 8 12 162. Check the answer in your this thing, in that book. Check it. So once again we will check it. 9 10 11 12 15 25 26 162. So this is correct. So we have got sigma fi xi and sigma fi. So by using the formula mean x bar is equal to sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi, which is equal to, which equals 162 divided by 20, which is equal to 16.2 divided by 2, which is equal to 8.1. Check the answer, 8.1. So therefore finally x bar is equal to 8.1. What was the question? Let me read the question. Find the number of plants per house. The average number of plants per house is 8.1. So this is how we can calculate So final answer you can write it. The average according to the way the question is asked, that way you need to finally answer it. The question asked here is find the mean number of plants per house, and therefore the mean number of plants per house is equal to x bar is equal to 8.1. So this is how you can solve it. So first method we have understood, direct method. Now coming to the next method, assumed mean method and step deviation method. See dear students, these two methods have been devised. Why? That is the question. Here when we take the product fi xi, suppose these class intervals are 100 to 200, 200 to 300, 300 to 400, 400 to 500, like that. And the frequency over here is 50, 60, 70, 29, 30, 40. In that case, the product, this fi xi, is going to be a very large number. These fi xi, the products are going to be a very large numbers, and of course the summation of those large numbers will be a very huge number. Therefore, whenever we get fi and xi as large numbers, in order to reduce the amount of calculations, another two methods have been devised. Those are assumed mean method, which is also called a shortcut method, but step deviation method is the most appropriate method to solve such numericals where fi and xi are very big numbers. So basically these two methods are to reduce the amount of calculations or handling of large numbers which result out of fi, large numbers of large values of fi and xi. These two methods have been devised. So first you make a note of this one, and then I'll take up the second method, which is called assumed mean method. First make a clear note of all these steps, including this table and one example properly. Now let us discuss the second method. It is assumed mean method. It is also called a shortcut method. Why do we use this one? This method is used when xi and fi are large values. What are the steps here? Step 1, see here, first of all you will be given these two columns, class interval and the frequency. These two columns are given. I have to prepare another 3 column over here, and therefore finally how many columns are there? I'll write it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. Okay. Step 1, find the class mark, this one, xi is equal to midpoint of the class interval. Next, step 2, in column xi, in this column xi, choose a middle value as assumed mean. I have to select the middle value as an assumed mean and denote that by capital A here. Now how do you select the mean value? That means assumed mean, choose the middle value as the assumed mean. Now let us look at the number of observations here. 1, 2, 3, 4 observations are there. Which are the middle values? There are 2 middle values here, either this one or this one. If the number of observations are even, then you are going to have 2 middle values. Either I can choose this as A, especially in xi column, okay, not in this one. In xi column I have to select. Either choose this as A or choose this as A as an assumed mean. Dear students, listen very carefully. This choosing of A is not mandatorily the middle value. You can select any value out of this given xi. But as you know, our objective is to measure the central tendency. That is, we would like to move towards the center of the observations, and therefore the assumed mean denoted by A also need to be chosen as much as possible amongst the middle values. Here 4 observations, 1, 2, 3, 4. Leave this apart, leave this apart. There are 2 middle values. Either you can assign A for this or A for this. So I have assigned A for this now. So second step, In column xi, the class mark, choose the middle value as assumed mean and denote it by A. Next, you calculate the deviations. How do you calculate the deviations? Di is equal to xi minus A. That means this observations minus this, then this minus this is 0, then 25 minus 15, 35 minus 15. How do you get this deviations? 5 minus 15, 15 minus 15, 25 minus 15, 35 minus 15. This is how we obtain the deviations. All these observations, how far these observations are from the assumed mean is called the deviation. How far these are deviated, the observations xi are deviated from A. So di equals xi minus A. Di equals xi minus A. What is xi? These values. This value minus this value. So remember, in deviation you are going to get some negative values and some positive values, including a 0, which is a must, because 15 minus 15 gives a 0 here. Then once after obtaining di, fi di you have to calculate the frequency into di. Then finally take the sum of this one, sigma fi di. Here take the sum of sigma fi, sum of frequencies, and sum of sigma fi di. Then use the formula to calculate x bar is equal to assumed mean, whichever that you have assigned that value, plus sigma fi di divided by sigma fi. This is how we can calculate the mean by a method called assumed mean method for a group data. So I'll take one example from your textbook, exercise number 14. Give me, where is the textbook? 14.1. Now I would like to select from your textbook such a problem where the fi and xi are relatively larger, because we are left with one more step deviation method. Step deviation method is really helpful if fi and xi are very large numbers. If moderate values, I may go for this, but still I can prefer step deviation, there is no problem. So I am going to select one problem in such a way that relatively xi is large and fi is relatively smaller. At least one of that will be larger. Question number 4. 30 women were examined in a hospital by a doctor, and the number of heartbeats per minute were recorded and summarized as follows. How many women were observed? 30, and their heartbeats per minute was recorded as follows. Find the mean heartbeats per minute for those women. What is that we have to find out? Mean heartbeats per minute. So the number of heartbeats forms the class interval and number of women forms the frequency. So let me put up that data. Number of heartbeats per minute, number of heartbeats per minute, number of women, then I require class mark, then I require deviation, which is xi minus, this is fi, just a moment, fi, xi di is equal to xi minus a, then fi di. I hope everything should be, I should be able to accommodate, or I have to shift this a little bit. I think this is better because I require space there. So here number of heartbeats, per minute, class interval, number of women, which is frequency, then class mark, then deviation xi minus a, and then fi di. Yes, 65 to 68, class width is 3, 68 to 71, 71 to 74, 74 to 77, 77 to 80, and 80 to 83, 83 to 86, 2438, 2438, 742, 742. These are the two columns given to you. Please have a look at that answer. You may have to help me. Xi is the class mark. Class mark is the mid value of the class interval 65, 68. So 65, 68, 65, 66, 67, 68. What is the value? 67.5. How much is this? 66.5. Because how do you calculate this one? 65 plus 68. See here, one more method of calculation is half the class size added to lower limits. That's the best thing. 68 minus 65 is 3 here. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. So 1.5 you go on adding to all the lower limits. That is enough. 65 plus 1.5, 66.5. Once you obtain the first one, add the class size for continuously. What is the class size here? 3 here. Go on adding to 3 this, you will get it. 69.5, 72.5, 75.5, 78.5, 81.5, 84.5. Clear? Is it correct? So what did we do here to quickly arrive at that? Take a class width, divide it by 2, add that one to the lower limits. So first xi, when you get it, add the complete class size for that one to get the further class marks. Now di is equal to, I need the value of a here. So which one shall I assign here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 observations are there. 3 leave here, 3 leave here. The middle value of this is this one. I'll assume this is a. This is a here. 77.5. This is a here. Equals a. Let us calculate di here. How do you calculate? Di is xi minus a. 66.5 minus 75.5. 66.5 minus 75.5, which is equal to, let me write this one a little bit, fi di here, and this is the deviation. Okay, or I'll for your information, see here, this minus this, this minus this, this minus this is what I am doing now. So 75.5, 66.5 minus 75.5, 66.5 minus 75.5, which is equal to, how much this is? 66 point this thing, 75.5, 66.5, 0 15 6 9 9. So we are going to get here minus 9. Next 69.5 and 75.5. So 6, 75.5, 6, or I'll write here minus 6. आपको समझ में आ रहा है? This is how I can calculate. Check it. Okay, it's not there, no. 5.5, 75, 6 minus 6, 75.5 minus 70.5, 0. Oh, here one more is there. 72.5 minus 75.5, which is minus 3. 78.5 minus 75.5, which is plus 3. 81.5 minus 75.5, which is 75 R 6 84.5 minus 75.5, which is how much this one? 6 9, check it, 9. This is 9 here. So here minus 9 minus 6 minus 3 0 3 6 9. This is how we are getting. Now let us find out FIDI. FIDI. Okay, FIDI. What is that one? FIDI 2 into minus 9. Here this is the frequency and this one. So the product of these two basically is what it should give me. So minus 18 minus 24 minus 9 and it is 0 21 24 and 18. What else data I want? Sigma FIDI I want. This data I want. Sigma FIDI is equal to, and also I want sigma FI is equal to this one. How many women have been tested? 4 2 6 3 9 17 17 24 4 28 30. Okay. Now sigma FIDI. How do you calculate this one? Calculate all these minus, add this one and subtract it. So how do you get this one? Minus 14 34 34 into 42 51 minus 51, and this is 63 minus 15 plus 63. I hope it is correct. 60. So 53, this is 12. 63 minus 15, basically it is 63 minus 51, which is 2 and 1, which is 12, but it is plus 12. Why it is so? The negative values are lesser and this is more here. Check this whether it is correct. So this is 12 here. I got sigma FIDI as 12. Now you can calculate. Therefore x bar is equal to assumed mean plus sigma FI DI divided by sigma FI, which is equal to A is how much? 75.5 plus sigma FI DI 12 divided by 30, which is equal to 75.5 plus 12 by 30 is 1.2 divided by 3, which is 0.4, which is equal to 75.9. Check this one. 12 by 30 is 1.2 divided by 3, which is 0.4. 75.5 plus 0.4 is 75.9. So let us check the answer for this. Whatever method they do it, the answer should be same. How much you are getting? 75.9. Yes. See here, the answer is 75.9. Whatever method you adopt, whether it is a direct method or assumed mean method or the step deviation method, you are going to get the same answer. Please remember 75.9. In the solutions, he has adopted the direct method, but here I adopted the shortcut method, which is also called assumed mean method. So this is how we can calculate for assumed mean method the arithmetic mean. Note down all the steps with this chart and one example sum. Let us study the last method, which is the step deviation method for calculation of arithmetic mean. 1 2 3 4 5. Yeah, let us see the steps here. 1 2, these are the two columns which will be generally given to you. We have to create 3 4 5 and 6 columns. We have to create another 4 additional columns have to be created. Step 1, find xi, that is the class mark. Next, in xi, choose the middle value as assumed mean and denote it by a, similar to the second method which we saw. That is, out of this, the middle value should be chosen as assumed mean and denote it by a. Next, calculate the deviation. Ti is equal to xi minus a, which you already know. And next additional step is find ui, which is di divided by h, where h is the class size or a suitable factor. Now, in order to get this one, this di, whatever values we get over here, should be divided by the class size. The class size should be the constant. See here, very important thing. Suppose if the class size is varying, then h cannot vary, h should not vary here. In that case, I should consider h in such a value that it should be a common factor for the entire di here. It should be a common factor for entire di. Suppose if the class size is same for all the class intervals, then directly di divided by h I can do it. H can take only one value because it is appearing in one formula here. H can take only one value. So ui is equal to di divided by h, where h is the class size in general. Suppose the class size varies, in that case this h can be any suitable factor whichever you choose, that is only to reduce this di to further lower values, and therefore we divide di by h, which is a suitable common factor amongst d here. And then finally fi into ui, this frequency and ui you multiply it, finally you get sigma fi ui, and use the formula to calculate x bar is equal to a plus sigma fi ui divided by sigma fi into h. And generally this figure sigma fi ui divided by sigma fi is also called u bar. So a plus h u bar. So this is the formula to calculate the arithmetic mean for step deviation method. Okay. So with this, let me take one example from your textbook. And can I take the example from textbook? Yeah. Yes. Second example, I'll be taking it. I would like to utilize this space here and create the example here itself. So what I suggest is, first you make a note of this one, pause the video now and note down, and then I'll fill up these values. Okay, so note down this one. Okay, I think you have noted down the details. So let me write here itself the data. Let me try to use this space here itself and we'll try to calculate. This is one example here I am taking, and this is from exercise 14.1. Consider the following distribution of daily wages of 50 workers. Question number 2, it is exercise number 14.1. So the daily wages is given by 100 to 120. This is nothing but daily wages. And daily wages and number of workers, frequency is number of workers, it is given. So daily wages is 100 to 120 and it continues up to 180 to 200. 100 to 120, 120 to 140, 140 to 160, 160 to 180, 180 to 200. Correct? 100 to 120, 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5. I think थोड़ा space दे देता हूँ so that it is easier. I thought still some more are there. 100 to 120, 120 to 140, 140 to 160, 160 to 180, and 180 to 200. Good, we are able to accommodate here. And 12, 14, 8, 12, 14, 8, 6, 10, 6 and 10. This is the data given. We have to calculate the mean by using a suitable method is the question. What is the question? Calculate the mean daily wages of the workers of a factory by using an appropriate method So what is the appropriate method that I would like to choose here? Given a choice, you know, the class intervals are quite bigger, therefore xi will be quite big number. Also the frequency of workers is quite big number, and therefore in order to eliminate a lot of calculations, definitely I'll be recommending and I'll be going for the step deviation method, which is described as in these steps. So I am going to adopt now step deviation method. Class mark is to be calculated. What is class mark? Before class mark, let me calculate this one here. This is sigma fi. Okay, how many workers? Already he has given 50 workers. Are you going to get 50 here? 50. So this is 50 workers. Class mark, midpoint, 100 to 120 is 110. 130. What is the class size? Class size is 20. Go on adding 20 here. 150, 170, 190. Is it correct? Yes. All these are correct. Now I have to select in xi, choose a middle value and denote it by a. So top to leave it, bottom to leave it. I will consider this as equals a here, deviation. Now di is equal to xi minus a. So 110 minus 150 is equal to minus 40. 130 minus 150 is equal to minus 20. 150 minus 150 is equal to 0. 170 minus 150 equals 20. 190 minus 150 equals 40. Now see here, 40, 20, 20, 10. What is the common factor for this? I can consider 20 also as a common factor. What is the class size? Class size is 20 here. Everywhere is it same? Yes, it is same. So can I consider a common factor as a class size for this one? Yes, I can divide this entire di by class size, which h is equal to 20 here. So I'll write here h is equal to 20, and therefore I will divide di by h to get ui. So minus 40, here I'll write minus 40 divided by 20 is equal to minus 2. Minus 20 divided by 20 is equal to minus 1. 0 divided by 20 is equal to 0. 20 divided by 20 is equal to 1. 40 divided by 20 is equal to 2. Correct? Now you multiply fi into ui. Where is that fi? Frequency into ui. So 12 into minus 2, minus 24. 14 into minus 1, minus 14. 8 into 0, 0. 6 into 1, 6. And finally 10 into 2, 20. 20. And finally I require sigma fi ui. So let us find out this sigma fi ui. This is sigma fi ui. How do you get this one now? This is 24 4 8 3 minus 38, and here it is 26. So this is 2 1 minus 12. So I am going to get here as minus 12. Is it correct? 24 34 38 minus 38 and plus 26. So minus 12, minus 38 plus 26 is minus 12. So sigma fi ui is equal to this. Now let us apply the formula for calculation now. Please check this question number 2. What is the value he is going to get? Rakesh, check question number 2. Okay. So x bar is given by a plus sigma fi ui divided by sigma fi into h. A is equal to let me populate the values first. 150 and sigma fi ui minus 12. Sigma fi 50 workers. H, class width, which is 20. All the information is over? Yes. So X bar is equal to A is 150 plus into bracket sigma FIUI is minus 12 divided by 50 into H is 20. So 10 10 goes here. So X bar is equal to 150 plus, this is nothing but here minus 24 divided by 5. So this is equal to 150 minus 24 divided by 5, which is 5 4s are 20, 5 8s are 40. So minus 4.8, which is equal to 145.2. Correct. 145.2. So X bar is equal to 145.2. So this is how we can calculate the arithmetic mean of a grouped data by a step deviation method, and that step deviation method is used whenever we have a large values of xi and fi. So please make a note of this contents, all this entire information. Please make a note of this one. So what we have completed today, we started with the basics of the data, classified it, then finally we understood what are the measurements of central tendencies, mean, mode and median, out of which I took the mean calculated for raw data, for tabulated data, which is also called the ungrouped frequency distribution table, and finally calculation of the arithmetic mean for the grouped data. There are three methods: direct method, assumed mean method, and step deviation method. All these three things we discussed in detail with all the steps involved and the tabular columns along with one example. So here we have completed the first section. In my next lecture, I will be taking calculation of median for raw data, tabulated data, and once again for group data. So till then, bye and see you in next lecture. See you in the next lecture. Thank you very much for watching.